Block 21 of the Tunisian Sampler Afghan is the shaker stitch. And to do the shaker stitch, it's very simple. You do well, my first row was a simple stitch row down here, and I did a simple stitch all the way back, normal procedure. Then every row afterwards has been this, and you do the shaker stitch is a knit stitch plus a chain one. Then you go into the next one, knit stitch, chain one. Now, this stitch is really tall. It's like doing 2 rows with 1 pass. If you look, this right here, this little hump, plus this is all part of 1 row. The previous row is this big hump ridge right here, plus that. So I'm treating it as if I'm doing 2 rows in order to match up with previous blocks. If I were to do 29 rows of this, all of my blocks have been 36 stitches wide and 29 rows tall. I can't do that with this stitch because it's so tall. And so what I'm doing is I'm treating it like I'm doing 2 rows at the same time. So when I come to the end and go to join to my sashing that I'm putting in between each of my blocks, what I do is with the last stitch of the block itself, I go in and I do my knit stitch, but I don't do the chain one there. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to proceed on to my sashing. Get my yarn together here. There we go. So I'm proceeding on to the sashing, and my sashing is just 4 simple stitches before I combine to the previous column that I finished. So I do that. See, where's my 4th stitch? Then I combine to the end of the next row. And I go through both of these little loopies here, bring up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, trying to bring all of the thread at once. And then I'm going to, when it's time to color change, I yarn over and draw through 2. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick up the next row of the sashing. And now I proceed with the second half of the shaker row, shaker stitch row, by just yarning over and drawing through 2 till I get all the way back to the beginning of the row. And for me, because I will be putting sashing here when I go to the next column, I'm going ahead and when I start my next row, I do a chain 1 here so that when I'm done, I will have 29 stitches to attach the sashing to. What I'm going to be doing with this block, just to match up, is I've got 1 simple stitch row, and then I'm doing 14 shaker stitch rows to make a total of 29 loops, to pretend this is a 29 row block, because I'm treating each shaker row block as a 2 row block. And so far, as you look at it, it's working out rather nicely. It's an interesting stitch. It's not one I've ever done before, and it's almost like doing a single crochet without closing it at the top, and yet it doesn't look like a single crochet. That's the shaker stitch block, block 21 of the Tunisian Sampler Afghan. Thanks for watching.